Hey everyone, and welcome back to another FogCutter Live. I'm Mike Curtis here with Preston James, founder of Traders Edge Network, an options trading legend. So, Preston, we got a lot to cover like usual. Say hello, and we can just get this one rolling.
Well, I look forward to these, Mike, every Monday. I've got my SOB hat on. That stands for Sleep Over Bandit, which we just kind of finished up with a bang. That was really fun. It'll probably take us 20 minutes to explain what that is, but
Yeah, in
I'll
the
just wear the
spirit
hat
of
instead.
Yeah, there you go. In the spirit of football season starting, we do here at Traders Edge a little sleepover bandit training camp, a series of webinars, and Preston throws on some of these trades that kind of go from Thursday into expiration Friday. We take advantage of the rapid time decay. Tons of fun. Preston, you had an awesome training camp, if you will, hit a bunch of winning trades on that. So something that sounds interesting. Tune in next year as we hit Sleepover
Right.
Bandit 2026.
That's
But
right.
let's talk some market. So we're coming off a decent week, right? We had to clear our CPI, consumer price index reports last week, and the producer price index. So just kind of the inflation gauge, and really the market for the most part liked everything that they saw, and really all signs were pointing towards this week and the likelihood that the Fed is coming in with an interest rate cuts. Maybe you could speak to that a little, Preston.
Yeah, I always find it interesting too, on a side note, that the FOMC meetings always take place during market hours.
Yep.
So a lot of these economic reports will come in before the market opens. There anyway, so it's just an interesting open usually when something's announced before and it can't really trade during market hours. But this is reacted to in live, and it's going to be this Wednesday, and I think it's kind of baked in now. We'll always have to see what they do, but it looks like it's baked in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of that bullish energy we've seen over the last really 2 weeks, and we've covered quite a bit of ground. I was looking at it before we jumped on, Preston, and from the low on September 2nd, right, we had a gap down. The market had a rough start to September, but intraday, it kind of bounced off those lows to where we were trading at earlier this morning. The S&P is covered 4%, over 4, just barely over 4% in that just under 2 weeks time. So we have covered quite a bit of ground over these last 2 weeks. And I think, like you said, that expectation of a rate cut, at least a quarter of a point, is baked in. Some optimists are looking that might be a half of a point rate cut. And Preston, there's that old saying in the stock market where you buy the rumor and sell the news, right? So where some of this anticipation of the rate cut, it could be, like you said, it could already be baked in. And then during market hours, we get the news of what they're going to do. And then following that, um, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, will have a press conference. And that's usually when people are really sizing up exactly what he's saying, what he's hinting towards future policy, right? So do you see that phenomenon of the buy the rumor, sell the news,
Yeah.
maybe having an impact this week?
Yeah, you're probably right. And I was just looking that we're right in the middle of September. September's been hot, but there's still half of September left. I mean, maybe some of the September month, and just traditionally, and it doesn't have to do this, but October is the month that a lot of stuff is happen, a fearful month. So it's the month prior to that we generally tend to see softness. So maybe with half the month still left, that's what's in store for us. But I again, I just don't. I think you're right on the buy the rumor, sell the news. Um, I think it's already baked in. Kind of a
Yeah.
nothing to see here.
Yep. And I think what the market will be looking for is, the statement looking forward, right? I'm sure if there's a surprise and that half a point rate cut hits, there could be some bullish energy and a surge. But really the market will be trying to analyze, are we going in to more of a rate cutting cycle? Is this going to be a one-off, or are they going to start positioning things to be a little more aggressive in the upcoming meeting? So again, coming into the market a little overextended, right? Up 4% over the last 2 weeks. All eyes will be on this FOMC meeting. Preston, with kind of those factors all underlying what we're seeing this week, do you take a different approach with some of your trades as far as maybe being a little more defensive? And I'm asking an ex linebacker here.
I know. Well, I just want to maybe tie another little point off that's more of a macro point. And when we step back and look, you were saying how hot it's been since early September, this 4-point move, but I can't help stressing, just look what we've covered since those April lows, those tariff lows. And Mike, it hasn't been popular, and it was almost, we've been sounding maybe like idiots, but for months now, we've been saying it's go time for stocks. It's go time for stocks. And I saw an article last Friday that said, "Hey, the economy, man, the inflation, people, they're doing surveys and stuff, and this is real, where they're like, we don't know that our future's that bright. How can the market do this when the business or maybe economic outlook, I don't know. I don't know about this inflation." And it just goes to show how the stock, and if you take that into your stock market thinking, you could not be in this market right now.
Right.
Well, and all to say, the stock market takes a different brain almost to embrace.
Definitely.
And sometimes the smartest people that are involved in business, in the economy, they're the ones sounding it the most. Like, there's no way the stock market should be this or should be that. And we're over here saying it's go time for stocks. It's go time for stocks because we lean on that market cycle. And we know that it takes 3 out of 4 stocks with it. And guess what's laced over and above it? It's this idea whose time has come, the AI cycle moving through. And I just want to say one more thing. When the internet was coming in, what did it greet the market like? What we know is there was a dot-com frenzy, and then there was a dot bomb, and it gave it all back. And look what the stock market did, blah blah blah. But did that take the internet away? Hell no. And we're in the midst of seeing the AI thing come, and there's going to be, and just look at like what's happening with Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin comes in and it surges, and then it lets down, and then the sandbank been freed, and there's fraud and people going to jail, and then Celsius blew up and fraud over here. But is that taking away cryptocurrency? No.
Right.
And there's going to be that come and go in the AI. So it's just a really interesting time that we're going through right now. And I don't know, I could talk for hours about this, but there's really something to be said for seeing things with new eyes, and also leaning on that the big tend to normally get bigger,
Right.
and here's Apple, like Apple kind of had its day or whatever, but that's still one of the biggest stocks. And I mean, the big tend to get bigger, the weak tend to get weaker. And I just think from time to time, we got to take that bigger picture. And I don't know where this is going, but it sure seems like we're idiots the whole time saying it's go time for stocks, it's go time for stocks. All we're doing is just going with what's been for since World War II, really.
Right. No, it's good perspective, and you've taught that to me, Preston. You have a saying, you never know how high they can go. You never know how low they can go because, stocks do tend to get to extremes, and they can stay there for a while.
Yeah,
Right.
far longer than you think is rational. Yeah.
Right. So the trend, if you look at the last, 4 or 5 months, since those April lows, we've been in a very strong trending uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. So if we're talking about 2 weeks, we've covered some ground. We're talking a really short-term perspective, right? Hey, maybe we're in for a few days of a pullback, or, maybe a week or something like that. But overall, that uptrend is still intact. And yeah, you've been you've been pounding the table, Preston, saying that it's go time for stocks, and we've just seen these new all-time highs. And like you said, if you're only listening to headlines, right? The fears, the concerns, oh, the look at the jobs report, the employment market is getting weak. There's all these whispers in these headlines that try to scare people off, and then you turn around, the S&P is just closing at a new all-time high. So yeah,
Yeah.
trying to keep that distinction is important. So I love that perspective.
And then also the voices of, I'll bring them up, like the Kiyosaki's on one of the recent pullbacks in the market. I mean, he came out and said, "Hey, this is it. And something so big is happening. Money's going to be obsolete, this, that, and the other." And I mean, it can scare and rattle you to death because again, these are actually very smart people. And I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to generate headlines, but it's so, and then it's more noisy than ever with social media and YouTube
Right.
videos. I mean, it anyway, it's challenging for to be sure, but because anytime you decide to live, if you think part of that way and then you watch a video or read into news and you say that's it, that's confirmed, and then do that at your peril. I mean, there's people, I would imagine a lot of people not participating in what we're talking about
Totally.
for all these months because they
Yeah,
were scared and shaken out.
definitely. And I think I've seen too is, just hit the 16-year mark with Trader's Edge and working with you, Preston, and worked with a lot of individual investors over that stretch. So a lot in a one-on-one environment. And you spend a lot of time. And what I've seen, and it's gotten even more extreme these last 5-6 years, is people become kind of the jack of all trades, master, pun intended, trades, master of none, right? Where, hey, maybe I'm gonna day trade the E-mini. Oh, maybe I'm gonna day trade Forex. Oh, maybe I'm gonna look at this strategy. Look at that. There's so much information out there that people can get bogged down where they're not getting really proficient at any of those strategies. They're just maybe tinkering here, hitting a loss, giving up, tinkering here. So hopefully if you're part of the Trader's Edge network, you can really hone in. We try to build strategies that take that emotional human element out of the way a little bit and just let the probabilities play out over time, like our money press, like some of our other strategies, the sleepover bandit hat that you've got on.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, trying to just master something that fits your lifestyle, right? We don't want to be glued to a screen all day. We don't want to day trade. We built our strategies really around that lifestyle and that mindset.
No, yeah, well said. Some of the stuff that's coming out, it's going to make more sense, but I'm finishing up a book project. I mean, it's kind of got a wimpy title. I will teach you how to trade. At least that's the one I have right now. But yeah, I'm really excited about this, and we're earmarking this for this October launch, which is just right around the corner. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. There is some, just to kind of wrap up what we're looking at this week. I mean, Tesla had some fun news. Elon bought about $1 billion worth of shares. I think it was just last week. Given the stock and that news, it takes a while to file that and for that news to actually hit. Tesla's really enjoying that jump. Preston
Messing with the
is,
short sellers is what's happening. That's, in my opinion, he's just messing with minds.
yeah,
Which
yeah, he's
was
never done
great.
that before, has he?
No, no, he's never tweeted out before, "Eat my shorts." When if you, in case, I know probably everyone knows this, but if you're short stock and it starts going, you make money as it goes down. And then to complete your profit, hopefully you're profiting when you're short, you have to buy back the stock at a lower price. And so you can sit there with a short position, but if it really takes a spike like it is right now, the only way to get out of your short position is to buy. So, and it's called buying to cover, or buying to cover your what, or eating your short. So that's the game that's going on constantly with some of these stocks.
Yeah, and Preston, Tesla, that's one you don't really money press, right? That can be
No,
just, it's a little too volatile.
I
We
don't
like,
SOB it either.
right?
It's out, it's over there.
So that's one, again, with kind of that volatile nature. that's one you're looking to trade, that's something where we'd more traditionally just buy stock or
Yeah,
buy a call option and see if you can ride a bullish move.
own it
That's
long.
we get that question once in a while. Hey, Tesla's breaking out. There's some excitement. Why aren't you looking at this one for a money press? And the premiums are exciting. It can be a really fun ROI on a money press, but it just a little bit too hot to handle for that particular strategy. So also this week, I mean, it's pretty light on the earnings front. A couple, I think Darden Restaurants is a little later in the week, Cracker Barrel, General Mills, I believe. So pretty calm on the earnings news front. But anything else this week you're kind of
Yeah,
taking a peek at, Preston?
yeah. In addition, FedEx and Lennar Homes, they announced Lennar was a recent Buffett buy. The home builders aren't doing too well today, whatever economic news or whatever is out there. But they announced after the close Thursday. And I'm always interested in what FedEx announces, just at that part of the economy.
Yeah, definitely. And then as far as coming in, I think talking the money press, some application here to just a week like this where whether Wednesday, brings the bulls charging or, maybe it is that sell the news type of thing where we see the market take a breather. How do you approach something like that, Preston, with some of your current positions? Maybe you could speak to that for just a second as we
Yeah,
wrap this one up.
yeah, kind of in general, when we've had strength in the market, normally, well, almost always, I guess by definition, if there's strength in the market and conviction, there's less fear. And we see that showing up across option pricing. So when the market is kind of less fearful and your money press is doing great, you're collecting the full amount of the weekly premium that you're selling. Well, if it leaves your protection, you know, it kind of leaves your protection. I love upping my protection part of the money press on these less fearful times. And one of the main reasons is it doesn't cost that much to do. And that's going to be different with different classes of stocks. I mean, trucking stocks are going to be different than AI stocks, and they're going to be different than cybersecurity names. But in general, when there's less fear, upping your protection doesn't cost that much. And then if we run into a couple weeks of more fearful, now you've raised your protection. It didn't cost you that much. You're taking even more premium in on the weekly because now they're
Mhm.
laced with fear. That's kind of a general paintbrush stroke, but it's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing
definitely.
that we try to
Yeah,
do
I
during weeks
agree.
like this.
And when I see a couple weeks where we've covered a lot of ground like we have coming into some potential volatility, to me, and I'm probably a little more conservative than you, Preston, in some ways, but I'll look at this as a really good opportunity on money press positions. Even if I own stock where I have money, some put protection on that position where I just go into where can I tighten up my put protection,
Smart.
kind of go into that mode. And yeah, if the market just blasts higher on the news and we finish the week really strong, great. It eats into my profits a little bit. But when we've covered so much ground in the 2 weeks that we have, right, just statistically speaking, we're probably getting a little closer to some profit taking or a pullback of some sort
Yeah.
than another week where we surge higher. Can it still happen? Of course. Yeah, it could still push higher, higher, higher. We never know how high they can go, right? But for me, a day like today where we've covered some ground over the last 2 weeks, we're starting the week on a strong note. This is a great time to come in and see if there's some places to tighten up my put protection. Again, it just a little bit more defensive minded coming into a week where that FOMC meeting could bring some volatility for sure.
Absolutely. That's really, really well said.
Awesome. Well, good stuff today, Preston. As we wrap up, Terry R., Ormond Beach, Florida, sent in a fun, um, just a fun story we want to share with everyone. Um, we've seen quite a bit over the years, Preston, right? People that are kind of retirement age, maybe officially retired, they're wanting to stay sharp. They want to keep their mind active, want to stay plugged in. Um, So I don't know if Terry's retired or not, but his story kind of made me think of that. But he said, at 70 years old, this is my first time trying options trading. So that impresses me, Terry. You're taking on a new endeavor, 70 years young. He says, I'm starting small and looking to make enough to support my golf habit. Can relate to that. He said, I am enjoying the training very much. I'm already making money. We had a nice rooftop meal paid for by the market. Sounds like Terry pulled out some profits, went and
Right.
enjoyed a nice dinner on the market profits. So big shout out, Terry. Love hearing your story. Thanks for sending that in, taking the time. And we love to hear more and more about those gains piling up in the future.
Yeah, Terry, nice job. And what's wrong with peeling some off from time to time, Mike, and just enjoying something maybe that you normally wouldn't order, going for the lobster tail. I mean, whatever. Come on.
Absolutely.
You got to
Yeah, and
enjoy it. Uh,
we encourage it. It just makes it a little bit real, right? You see a number changing on the screen, your brokerage account. And just as human beings, I know I'm this way. You hit kind of a new tier, and before you can stop and enjoy it, you've already moved the goalpost, right?
Right.
Oh, I hit this new level, but I want this now. And so, pulling a little bit of cash out, going enjoying a dinner or a vacation once in a while just can make it a little more real and tangible. So helps us enjoy that progress and those profits a little bit more. So good stuff,
Absolutely.
Terry. Thanks for sharing that.
Congrats, Terry.
Awesome. Where anything else from you, P, before we sign this one
No,
off?
I'm always interested how last week unfolded. And we always kind of talk about that. Let the week unfold. Let's see where we are, especially with weekly theme strategies. It was really fun seeing how it all unfolded last week. And I can imagine it's going to be fun this next week. And I'm already looking forward to next Monday for our FogCutter Live.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Preston. And again, like and subscribe to this so you don't miss a fog cutter. And we'll be back every Monday to help you cut through all the noise and the distraction out there in the financial markets and help you zero in on becoming a better investor and trader. So thanks as always, Preston. Have a great one. We'll see everyone next week. See ya.